Anything else you want to chime in there, Caine?
Just chiming in the sense that it it kind of goes with almost everything that you look at in tanking is that you have to look at what the encounter requires. If the encounter requires somebody to be very good at at being the boss, dealing with the boss, and somebody that's really good dealing with the ads, especially with the classes kind of merging together in, warriors are doing better AoE and other classes are doing better single target, you really need to put who is best for the job, who
Right.
can do the job. The class, to a degree, is no longer an issue. It's much more about, do you trust that tank that you call your main tank to be able to handle the boss and not die?
Right. Yep. I agree. All right. Let's see. Wow, Shammy. This guy is asked. Now, this is kind of a specific question, so we could probably just talk about this for real quick. But he asks if it's worth using the 170 stamina trinket. That's the Brewfest trinket with no proc, over the Blackheart with 126 with the OK proc. I think it's seven. I want to say it's that 7,000 armor on proc. So,
Yes.
but I want to go ahead and say
That black.
to Wow Shammy real quick that the Stam trinket, the Brewfest trinket, does have a proc. It has a pop, and it's amazing because you could get drunk off of that girl that comes out. Anyway, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, for actual progression, Blackheart's much better than the Brewfest.
Agreed.
But it's always fun to get drunk in the middle of the fight.
Yep, and just wave at her and get a free beer. So yeah, I would agree there. But this is one that it's probably the most controversial and most talked about. But basically, there's been a lot of questions, and a lot of people have been trying to answer these on our sites or on my site. But as far as tanking enchants for weapons, um, basically that's what this guy's asking. He's asking about Mongoose and Blade Ward. His name is Izap UXX. But basically, let's just talk about tanking weapon enchants in general. So why don't you just go ahead and what do you use and what do you like, and then what would you shy other tanks away from?
Well, off the top of my head, Mongoose. That's what I personally use. That's what I recommend to
Yep,
everybody.
me too.
Um, Mongoose, for those of you who don't know, it procs like, what, 120 agility
Yep,
every
I think
now and
so.
then. And agility is very good for pretty much everything that you do as a tank. The
Yep,
agility will provide you armor, which provides you effective health, provides you threat, and it provides you dodge, which further increases effective health.
yep,
And it's just an awesome trinket. Blood draining, uh, it would be probably the closest second that I would give if you did not have a threat set. And
agreed.
I would tell people to shy away from, um, was it parry warding or whatever it's called?
Blade Ward. Yep, I know what you meant. Blade Ward.
Yeah, I believe the main thing with that one is Blizzard kind of nerfed the proc rates for that,
Yep.
so it's no longer nearly as good and effective because all it's going to do is it's going to help your your effective health for one hit.
Right.
That's it, and
And
then
then
you
it's
never know when it's
gone.
going to pop again.
Yeah, and then it's gone. Yeah, I used it before it was nerfed, so I would see like 3 stacks and 2 stacks consistently, and that's I think it's like 200 parry per stack. So I mean, an extra 400 parry rating, or even 600 if it gets up to a 3 stack, was pretty overpowered. But then Blizzard, obviously scaled it back, and now it's just. And I've even touched on this. The fact that Blade Ward, one, has to proc, and two, you have to parry for it to even like be beneficial, makes it very poor choice for a tanking enchant. Like you said, Mongoose is probably the strongest weapon. I mean, for paladins, it procs off of any application of Seal of Vengeance and anytime you melee hit. So they almost doubled the proc chance of it for prot paladins. So I mean, it's a very high proc chance. It's a very good uptime, And like you said, you get a lot of effective health, you get threat from it, and you swing. Obviously you swing faster, so you're going to be proccing your Seal of Vengeance a little bit more. So I mean, it's a really good enchant. And then like you said, Blood Draining is pretty good on intense physical damage fights for tanks, or I mean, intense fights that tanks just take a lot of damage, like Sindragosa,
Festergut.
Fessergut, Sindragosa, or even Lich King. Fessergut, you could probably get away with it because you get a threat buff from tanking on it, so you wouldn't need like a quote-unquote mongoose type threat enchant. So I mean, yeah, fights like that, you Blade Ward really wins. But I did a breakdown on it, and a couple out of like 4 or 5 attempts, it only healed me for about did about 5k healing. And granted, it has to heal when you're below 35% Caine. Is that about what I think that's what it is?
Yes.
Yeah, so it only heals you when you get below 35%. So I did the breakdowns, and it average would heal me through a fight for about 5k, which isn't a lot. I mean, it's like maybe a flash of light or a couple rejuve ticks, but I mean it's there. It's another oh shit type of passive thing that's supposed to help you out, but yeah, I mean, if 9 times out of 10, guys, Mongoose is gonna give you everything that you need and want, all wrapped up into one enchant. Granted, it is an old BC enchant, but it's still amazing. All right, next question here. Wow, Holy Light. He's asked me what got me into tanking, but you could answer this too. But it says, why do I play Paladin tanking? What got me into it? What got me into Paladin tanking was actually my roommate, oddly enough, who bought me World of Warcraft. And I started out with a Hunter and then a Warlock. And then I saw him playing his Paladin. He was tanking about 15 mobs. And I was like, that's amazing. Because obviously when you're leveling a Hunter and a Warlock, you just kill one thing at a time. So I was like, dude, I re-rolled the Paladin and loved it ever since. Why'd you roll a Paladin in the first place, Caine? Let's get you in the mix.
Well, in the first place was mainly because I needed, at the time, Paladin tanks were the easiest to multi-box with.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason.
And then obviously afterwards it just kind of stuck, huh?
It's stuck. I don't like playing DPS classes. I like the fact that tanks are rated not so much the fact that they can hold threat, not so much the fact that they have to push certain numbers. It's the fact that they, one, don't die, and two, they can manipulate the boss as needed.
Right. Yeah, and I think we even talked about this, but everyone knows the difference between a good tank and a bad tank, even in this very simple aspects of even like heroic 5-mans or regular 5-mans. If you got a bad tank and a heroic 5-man or normal 5-man via gear or just the guy's awareness, it's very obvious. You struggle through it. It's very frustrating. Tanks made out of paper mache or just make you want to pound your face on your keyboard. But tanks that know what they're doing, know how to gear, know how to manage ads and bosses and so on and so forth, are a lot more vital in a raid atmosphere because they actually do. I mean, and you even touched this on one of your videos. When a tank fails, the effect is almost apparent and it's immediate. So I mean, it's almost an instant raid wipe once a tank fails when he does something wrong. When a DPS fucks up or a healer messes up, it's not really that big of a deal. I mean, because there's other classes that are there to bridge the gap of other people's mess ups. With tanks, you mess up, everyone knows. It's pretty obvious.
Definitely agreed. There's no... Generally, if tanks die in a raid or even a dungeon, most of the time, unless you're grossly overgeared, you're going to wipe.